Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Lobby, GameSpot's weekly live show here in San Francisco, California, every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mike Mahardy, here with Pete Brown, as usual.
Hello.
What is this proper stance?
I'm just hanging out with Rob.
Why are you guys doing this? That's Rob Handlery.
Hi.
And Callie Plaggy.
Hello.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
You're already rustling me? Yeah, so we usually do a giveaway at the beginning of the show, but we don't have one this week, mainly because Shiva, who manages our Twitter, is out, and I have no idea how to set those up. No, I'm just kidding. Not really. But yeah, we don't have a giveaway today, but we will get back on that as usual next week. It's our first show since E3. We did a live show for those of you who were able to stop by. That was fun. I'm sure, for those of you who were able to watch it, still fun as usual. Yeah, it was fun. What did you guys think of E3 overall? Callie, would you think of it? You've done a few E3s before, right?
I've done quite a few E3s. This was my favorite to work. Probably one of the more like mellow shows as far as like my excitement for things that I've done. But I really liked the work that I did, and so I was really satisfied with E3 overall.
Rob, what about you?
What's weird? I had like a different role this time. I was kind of doing a little more of the back end, a little bit of delegation stuff. But for the most part, I don't know. So I was surprised how not tired I was by the end compared to the other years. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being an adult and like going to bed reasonably.
Well,
no, that didn't
adult's a
happen.
very flexible term.
I don't know. I just don't
We
feel
were
as
all
tired.
there.
Neither of those.
No, there was something in the
adult
water
thing
this
or
year. Because I feel like we all worked hard, we played even harder, and like no one got hungover.
Well,
I didn't.
I didn't
ever-
get a
yeah.
single hangover
That's
all
what I'm
week.
talking
It was
about.
amazing.
I think I was actually sick the entire week. I didn't get hungover.
in a daze.
But anyway, yeah, so news items before I want to get back to E3 with a couple things, Xbox One X and games that were missing from E3. Then we're also going to be talking about Super Nintendo Classic, what games are confirmed and missing and our thoughts on that, and just overall like what other games we have coming in the summer before the holiday season starts. But news items, Zelda DLC is coming out Friday, so Rob will get nothing done all weekend. Same with Pete and Callie and everyone.
No.
Thinking about canceling this wedding I'm going to.
You're going to cancel the wedding?
The whole
Sorry,
wedding.
fiance.
Just message everybody involved. So yeah, for those who don't know, well, Rob, you probably know more than I do. It's Master Trials. That's what we're watching here, and the Korok mask. But so to initiate the Master Trials, you have to return the mask sword to the pedestal.
This little man bun.
Is that what happens? And then so the Master Trials is like that wave, or you start off with nothing, then you have to go through waves of enemies and whatnot.
Reminds me of like Tron,
No, but
Not
Master,
at all.
Master mode. So this is what you.
going into the trials.
That is a nice orange.
So what do you do in Master mode? It's wave based kind of. It's got like the Cave of Trials, if that's what it was called in Twilight Princess when you go into the Gerudo Desert. If you played that, but yeah, there's a lot. There's Hero's Path, which traces your movement throughout the map of the game.
It's sort of like the same concept as Eventide Island
Exactly.
in that you're going in without everything you've gathered throughout the game, which is cool, which a lot of us talked about that being one of our favorite parts of Breath of the Wild when we ran through it the first time, which is cool.
I think, and the Nintendo representative who was there on the stage couldn't answer this. I didn't look it up, but I can't remember if in Eventide, I know you lose your armor and your weapons, but do you lose like all of your supplies and food items?
You lose all of it.
You do lose that in Eventide? Okay, never mind.
You
Well,
guys have
same
been
case here then.
pronouncing it differently than I'm used to. I call it Eventide.
Well, because it evens the tide is why I say it like
Oh
that.
my god. I guess so.
I mean, that I
It's not two T's.
could be very wrong. It could be Eventide. I don't know.
Anyways, but yeah, you
Back
start
on
off with,
track.
You start off with a freaking branch, and you're going up against these guys.
And some Under Armour shorts,
Damn right.
some yogas.
What's interesting is
Some
I
Lululemon.
think in this footage
I
you'll
almost said
see
that.
the health regen of these guys. So like no longer can you, I don't know, do those moves where like you just are running away, dropping bombs. Like you have to like isolate an individual enemy and just work him.
Well, it's interesting
until
that
he dies.
they actually
Work him.
I don't know about that.
Work them. You just gotta work them. You'll see it. You'll
it's
see it. Their
interesting
health-
that they actually put you into this scenario where you can first approach with stealth. I thought it was just like combat throughout.
So it's a mixture of different things. So the I think we only got to, and they're calling these floors. So it was like floor 4 or floor 3 is what we got to, which is again there's 45 floors, levels, whatever you want to call them. But we just saw kind of the combat stuff. Supposedly some of these will have puzzles, like almost like pulling on like the shrines you do, physics-based puzzles. And then I don't know. He didn't. Again, the rep didn't confirm this, but my suspicion is that the last floor is going to be like 3 gold Lionels, and a gold Lionel will be the ultimate enemy of the game.
I got a better idea. What if the last few floors are the various incarnations of Ganon from different Zelda games?
Oh yeah, did you say this the other day? Yeah, I kind of like
I
that.
don't think I did say that the other day.
That would be cool. That,
No, you and I thought you
what's
were
the
talking to me
likelihood of that
other day.
happening?
I don't know. Who knows?
It's unlikely, Mike, but goddamn it, a guy can dream.
You're far more positive today than I'm used to. It's throwing me off.
Because I've been playing with Face Swap on Snapchat, and I'm feeling it.
Yeah, Pete just discovered Face Swap on Snapchat today when I switched.
Did you know about apps?
All right. Also, if you are a Diablo 3 fan, how many years after release? 5. The Necromancer Pack is out now. It's a new character class returning from Diablo 2 with some tweaks. It's $15. You just want to get the Necromancer, and then you can also get the Eternal Edition, which Tay could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's just the Ultimate Evil plus the Necromancer. So anything that's ever released with the game, both on PC, PS4, Xbox One, should be live if you want to play that, if you haven't already started. I was gonna last night, but I played XCOM 2, and I was awake until 3 a.m. playing that. Also, Next Machina, we have a review that went up last week. We can talk about this game. I don't think we talked about it too extensively in the lobby. We definitely didn't play it too extensively in the lobby at E3 because it came out right after. Next Machina review, we had a freelancer. Who did this?
Jason April, which I just learned is the correct pronunciation of his name.
He gave it a 9 out of 10.
Yes.
This game's fun. Did you all play it? Rob, you played a fair amount of it.
Yeah, I totally did. I really like this game. It's real tough.
It's from Swedish developer Housemarque. If you know from Resogun, the PS4 launch title, which is kind of
That was the best launch title.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, they have Matterfall coming out, which apparently is their take on the Shadow Complex kind of Metroidvania-ish game. That'll be out actually kind of soon, like August, if I'm not mistaken, maybe September. But yeah, this game is a twin stick shooter, very hard in some parts, kind of too punishing in my opinion, but I had a lot of fun with it.
It can be. Like, Peter, you had said this, I didn't really like put it together until I experienced it myself, which is in this game, you do like the arcade feature, which is, you have to play all the 5 worlds in order all at once. Like, there's no auto saves. It's an arcade, basically.
It's like an hour long.
Yeah, roughly. But the like the best part, or what you are striving for, is to quickly get like max upgrades as far as like all the abilities, like a wider spread on your gun.
Fuck
or
this part.
A triple. This part's tough. A triple dash. Once you get all that, you're rocking, and you just feel like you're on top of the world. But it's so intense because once you lose that triple dash, especially, you have the hardest time recovering because you're just back to like square one. Again, the triple dash is so key because you're consistently able to like avoid objects, but when you have one, oh my god. Anyways, it's just when you fall hard is what I'm getting at, and you just I don't know. It's really tough, but enjoyable in that respect of just the intensity and the focus that's required. I really like this game.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's interesting to see how Housemarque has kind of evolved what they did with Resogun. They haven't really. I mean, have they released anything before Resogun?
Super Stardust.
Super Stardust? I never played that.
This is, if anything, more of an evolution of that style of gameplay. But it's a direct homage to Robotron 2084 and Smash Mother Effin' TV, which I don't know if any of you guys ever played.
What did you want to say? Resogun was also kind of continuation of what's it called?
Defender.
Yeah. These bosses can get pretty tough. This one wasn't the hardest one, but this game's like you can pick this up on PlayStation Network right now. And we gave it a 9 out of 10. And PC.
And the entire soundtrack is on Spotify.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah.
We had to turn the music down for capturing because it was so loud music, but it's such a different game without the soundtrack.
It really is.
Because it escalates when you go from stage to stage. You were showing us one time at one point when it becomes a boss fight and the actual soundtrack kind of changes.
Yeah, all the boss battles have a different soundtrack, and just that transition is just every time it happens, I just like subconsciously am like bobbing my head, even though it's going to be a hell of a fight. This game is real fun.
Yeah, you should play this. It's very good.
No, I'm laughing
it's a
at
good
it
palate
in the
cleanser.
chat.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
What? That this game looks like
Someone
Smash
said they
Deal.
wish that Final Fantasy VI instead of Final Fantasy III was in the SNES Classic, but
It's probably like one of my jokes, I would assume.
it's the same game.
But anyway, we are kind of farther away from E3 now. We saw Microsoft announced the pricing release date of the Xbox One X now. So I wanted to, now that it's time it's had time to kind of like percolate. I want to get your thoughts on this, Pete. You think $500 is a good price?
I think it's a fair price. It's enough to make me think twice about actually buying an Xbox One X. $400 would have been great, but yeah, $500. I don't know. I can't do it. If I had a 4K TV and I was like itching for something to like, really show it off, maybe I'd go for it. But
yeah, so that'll be. But the one thing that a lot of people noticed was, despite the fact that Microsoft showed 42 games at the press conference, not many of them were Xbox exclusives. Like we saw a lot of Crackdown, or no, like not a lot, but we saw a little bit of Crackdown 3, which I think was one of the bigger titles that we were waiting to see from the show.
Who saw that?
They showed it at the press conference.
Gameplay?
Mm-hmm. A little bit. Not a lot. It was pretty brief. I don't blame you for forgetting it because it was very brief compared to what we thought.
I just remember that Terry Crews trailer, and that was it. Was that included in it? I
there's
really
like 30 seconds right after it.
I remember Dragon Ball. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. That was the Microsoft conference?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll have more coming out for that game soon. We just played a little bit of it the other day. It looks fun. I mean, it looks gorgeous. I'm not super into Dragon Ball at all, but I see the appeal of the game. I saw like people on YouTube were comparing the animations in that game to the actual anime, and it looks pretty faithful.
It looks a lot like the animation in Super. So if you don't like the animation in Super, like take that into account. But it's cool. I was thinking. I mean, just going back to Xbox One X. I like have had no desire to get a 4K TV. Number one, because that's expensive and I don't have a place to put it. But I like. I don't really care about that so much when I'm playing games. But I would really like to see Dragon Ball in it's the highest fidelity possible. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's by the developers of Guilty Gear. Same kind of art style. It looks really good. Especially when you're using like the supers or whatever, level 3 and 5 or whatever. I don't know. I heard Eric Tay screaming a bunch of things when they were playing. And
yeah, they were saying all these complicated terms, and I was just like, this isn't canon. So I was focused on other things. But yeah, like this stuff is so cool. Like
it looks so good. I have a question. This is going to probably come off pretty dumb because I'm not very
smart.
Keen.
Let's get into it
on fighting games. But like the frame rate of these animations, is that something that can like contradict like I don't know predicting moves for like a fighting game?
What?
Like the frame rate of these animations, is that?
People
do you know what I'm getting at?
People get super into like the frame counts and whatnot of different moves, so you can predict if that's what you're saying.
But there's nothing distinct about this game necessarily compared to other fighting games that is like readily apparent.
Yeah.
Are you talking about this game in particular?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see anything that seems out of the ordinary. If anything, I will say that this game does a really good job of capturing the pacing that makes Dragon Ball fights so exciting. Now there's a lot of pacing issues in the anime where the people just stand around charging up and like this, that, and the other, but this game just hits those moments that are really action packed, whereas a lot of Dragon Ball Z fighting games, they will sacrifice depth to make that happen, or if they try to be a deep 2D fighter like some of the older games from like the Saturn and Super Nintendo, you'd stand around charging a lot. It was boring. Like this looks like the most faithful and exciting Dragon Ball Z fighting game.
And then so they showed this at the Microsoft press conference, and like I was saying, they showed a little bit of Crackdown 3, and then they showed a bunch of other games. In terms of exclusives, there's not many, and that was the worry going into the show.
Yeah.
But then especially considering they didn't even show off their flagship franchise, Halo 6, which is coming. And then of course Gears of War 5 will eventually roll around from the coalition. But I mean, there was Ori and the Whispering Willows. I might be butchering that. It was just like a double W. But I'm really excited for that. It's not like a console seller for me, despite the fact that I loved Ori and the Blind Forest. I don't know, Callie, do you think you'll be interested in getting an Xbox One X when it releases?
No. I mean, my favorite thing about my Xbox is the controller. I have an Elite controller, and that is why I still play games on Xbox. Aside
like
from
shooters?
Yeah, I play a lot of shooters on Xbox primarily, and to play with. That's where like people I play shooters with play, but I don't need to upgrade. I don't need to spend $500 to get that same experience. Like I'm not looking for the, highest fidelity, like top of the line experience with my Xbox. So it's just not that important to me. I'm not playing at a high level. I don't need that.
It becomes a problem when you want to upgrade when like they can't. Use the 60 frames in a game like Destiny, because then it would kind of imbalance the Xbox One X and Xbox One S players.
Right. Yeah.
So that kind of becomes a problem. They showed off Metro Exodus at the show as well. That game looks really good. Apparently, that was actually in engine and everything, which doesn't surprise me because I just played Metro Last Light Redux recently, and those games are really gorgeous still, even though despite the fact that 2033 came out 2010, Last Light was 2013, they look really good, updated. But yeah, I am curious. On Twitter, we actually had a question about this from Jeremy Zal. He was saying, "Do you still think it's worth buying an Xbox One X given an Xbox One vanilla given the announcement of the X? Would you do that at this point, whether it's an Xbox One S or just a regular Xbox One?" Pete,
I guess it depends on why you want to buy an Xbox in the first place.
seriously,
Yeah.
like if you don't have one by now, is there any incentive or is there any point in not just going, like splurging
Right.
for the X?
Yeah. It depends on what you want. You must really want those Microsoft exclusives or want to just get the best performing console you can.
At the same time, you have to imagine like anybody who really likes Halo or Gears of War would have one by now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you were all about the Xbox games, you would probably have gotten it sooner. I don't know. I'm not really seeing the reasoning. And that part of that is that I don't care about 4K, but also what am I going to play on it anyway?
And like in terms of going from the Xbox One S or Xbox One to the Xbox One X, my God, that's a mouthful. I don't like the name Xbox One X. What do you think of the name, actually, really quick?
I like it. I think it's fine. I don't think. What are their options, right? There's no really good option for this
Scorpio?
thing.
Just keep it Scorpio.
That's not a brand name you slap on a console.
Reminds me of the Scorpion
What is it,
King.
1992?
Yeah.
The Atari Jaguar all over again. Come on.
Well, it's releasing it's releasing under the sign of the Scorpio, the Zodiac. That was my prediction. Remember before they announced the release date? I was like, it's going to be between, September 23rd and, no, October, I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter. It's a dumb tangent. It's coming out like if you are a Scorpio, you're born in this section. I don't give a shit about the Zodiac stuff.
I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yes. But I don't know.
I think the ultimate thing for me is, you definitely have a lot of pros and cons to weigh, but one of the biggest is like, all right, what are my friends on? Like, I don't have any friends who are like
Yeah.
dead.
Wait, just stop
Just
there.
yeah.
Stop. Who are just obsessed with the Xbox, 360.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, but like
Right.
I can't. I don't want to buy something and then just be alone and isolated, right? Like, I don't know. There's not enough reasoning, but like, come next year is what I'm looking at. Like, again, yeah, Halo. Like, if Halo was coming out this year, maybe I would like consider it, but I don't know.
Make the jump.
There's just not enough.
Errol Moss in the Twitch chat also mentioned Cuphead finally has a release date after they've taken really long, which is understandable considering it's all hand animated, kind of like an old school Disney cartoon. Game looks great. It's not just a boss run now like it used to be, kind of. You're going through this small overworld going from boss to boss. It's really hard, but now it actually looks like there's a general structure leading you from boss to boss.
It's like Zelda.
I'm excited for it, but it's not going to sell an Xbox One X. I just breezed past that for a second. Pete and Zelda references. What other games were like Zelda? Dragon Ball Z?
Secret of Mana.
Yeah. That's a joke that happened before the show started. Rob
Shut the hell
didn't
up.
know a ton about Secret of Mana, so then he was saying, "Damn, this just looks like Zelda."
It's a fair point of comparison.
Jesus.
To which point I said, "No, it doesn't." And then he drew this photo of. You can't probably see it from that. It's Link throwing up on me, and he misspelled my last name. For those of you.
Spell it.
Mar Hardy. for those of you listening on iTunes right now, it's essentially just this massive, ugly Link with cross eyes throwing up on me, and I'm
And you.
very ugly in this photo.
Did you misspell his last
More-
name by
more than in
accident
real
or
life.
on purpose?
I actually think I did it on accident.
It was an accident.
Mar
It was-
Hardy.
He's not that funny. Cool. But any last thoughts of Xbox One X? You guys excited? Okay. To clarify, I do want one. I did actually want one pretty badly. Just I want a reason to play on my Xbox more. I think it was like Rob, what you were saying. Most of my friends play on PlayStation. That's just like the one that's honestly that's the input source that my TV's on when I turn it on a lot of times. So I'll just be like, it's my default.
That's a good point. Like, I actually just recently, like, finally upgraded my own TV, and I did the whole 4K HDR. So like that is enticing as hell. Like,
Yeah.
But what am I watching on it? My streaming 4K? Like,
Cuphead will
Get
look
outta
dope
here.
in
No,
4K.
you're not.
yeah, you're not. Like, you. I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just, it could be a cool entertainment box down the road, but I think everyone should just kind of wait.
It doesn't feel like a new generation of console, and that's the asking price that they put on it is what you would charge for a new console. So
If they're charging $400, I'd be.
I mean,
super
right?
on board.
That's still pretty close to like a new gen.
Yeah.
But still, 500 is like just pushing it just past that line enough where it's like, well, what? Yeah, we've said it. What are we getting out of it? Hard to say.
I would like them to spend more time on the UI.
Yeah, fix the stupid operating system.
Seriously.
It was just. Isn't like most of it just meant to reflect Windows 10?
Most
Isn't
of it
that
is
why they-
ads. But
Yeah, the first thing you
freaking
see, the top promo slot is it's the store.
Everything
Have
is
you
an
ever
ad.
like watched a movie on that and then tried to get back to the dashboard and been like, I don't know how. I feel like an old person using my Xbox. I don't know how it works.
Clearly, you press L, B, and X at the same time, and then
You
look
know,
up at your ceiling and pray to God, and it should appear.
It's really ironic that I'm wearing an Xbox T-shirt right now.
It's gotten better.
yeah,
in its
I mean,
defense,
I-
since
T-shirt?
the release. Yeah.
I think I use my Xbox more than most people do. Like I actually use it
Yeah,
quite a
yeah,
bit.
same
But
here.
yeah, I would rather they spend more time and put a little more attention into some like quality of life things and like UX stuff than I mean, obviously I'm a weird case, but
No. Yeah. I mean, I like you were saying you like the controller more, which for like shooters becomes a big deal than the PlayStation one.
I do like the Xbox One controller.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's all I gotta say about that. I don't know. It's comfortable for me.
seriously, my Elite controller was like the best purchase. I love it
Yeah.
so much.
How much are those now?
It's
80.
120.
it's like 120. Yeah.
It was 150 when it came out.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I guess like that was the last time we'll talk about Xbox One X for a little bit. If you want to go on GameSpot, Jimmy, our tech editor, he just did an evolution of Xbox console kind of gallery thing if you want to check that out. But yeah, anyway, before we move on from E3, before we've, like kind of that runs dry, I want to talk about games that we personally were missing. I know there's a bunch. Obviously, like we mentioned Halo 6 already. It's kind of weird. It's not weird. I mean, like they said, we know it's coming. Maybe they just wanted to take the time to show off a broader range of games because they really did. There's 42 and they rifled through them after doing like 10 minutes with the Xbox One X, which was a smart move. I think they showed it off. They got like all the burning questions out of the way, price, release date, kind of like last minute specs that we might not have known about, but I think we knew a lot of them. And then they went into the games.
Yeah, I was initially a little bummed that they didn't show Halo, but then again, I'm so kind of over getting hyped and spending a whole year getting hyped for a game. Like, if it wasn't coming, if it's not coming out this year, I'm just not interested.
Well, that was the strength of Bethesda's conference too, because like everything they talked about was coming out this year, which is like you have license to get excited about that. I mean, I'm sort of in your camp with that. Like, I would have been super stoked to see Halo. I love Halo so much. I thought Microsoft's conference was strong overall, but that would have really knocked it out of the park for me.
I like Halo 5 more than a lot of people.
Just actually looking at
I
this
hate the
gameplay.
story of Halo 5
I-
so much.
I didn't like the story, but I like the level design. I think is actually the best.
The
in the
multiplayer
series.
was excellent.
Yeah, the multiplayer's pretty good.
But and then obviously like Gears of War 4 was released last year. They didn't show much of 5 off from the Coalition being another one of their flagship series. But it would have been nice to see that. The Last of Us Part 2 was also missing, and Naughty Dog afterward was saying it was because they wanted to keep attention on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Yeah.
Which actually, if I saw Last of Us Part 2, that might actually amp me up a little more for Uncharted, despite the fact that tonally they seem very different, obviously, with Chloe Fraser and Nadine Ross from Uncharted fame. They're going, I mean, Uncharted's always been a little more, lighthearted than they went with The Last of Us, especially judging by this trailer to see how Ellie's changed. She's got a tattoo now, so she's killed people.
Yeah. That's how you know.
But they didn't show off anything. They showed this teaser at PSX last year, and then since then we haven't really seen much. Obviously, we wonder how far it's in development, but this looks really good. But Joel and Ellie are both coming back.
Apparently, they were mocapping a pig, so I'm pretty stoked.
What?
Yeah, that was in the news yesterday.
hot.
They were mocapping a pig, and pigs are adorable. So
To use in the game, or just for the fun of it?
Oh, just for shits and gigs, I mean, I really wanted to see this. This is one of my most anticipated games. I think Ellie is a phenomenal character, and I loved the original.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Sony's conference was so underwhelming to me. This is something that there wasn't a lot I cared about personally during that conference, so this would have helped a lot.
Yeah. So it was a bummer we didn't see that. Pete, you also brought up Death Stranding yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not totally surprising. Kojima said that he wasn't going to bring it to the show. There was some thing he wore, like a T-shirt that had the spiderweb on it. That, it's got something to do with the game ostensibly, but who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much like, what was he saying that he actually came to the show for? He tweeted that thing, and obviously, like Kojima, there's always a reason for everything he does. Yeah. According to some people, I would happen to disagree with that, but he tweeted, what was it? He tweeted like a cobweb or a spider web or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's art.
It said bridges.
Yeah. Just utter genius.
No one's claiming it's genius, you fool.
Yeah, you are.
No, I mean, it probably means something. I mean, he's talked about how Death Stranding is a game that features like worlds that are connected, but like in ways that are untraditional. And if you look at a spider web, like, yeah, there's all these different means of things that are connected. So I don't know. Who knows? Mm-hmm. We're talking about it, aren't we?
Do we have any idea what this game is yet? Like,
I think it's a match 3 puzzle game.
That would make sense. Rob, what kind of planes are those? Quick.
P-47s.
Nice.
Thunderbolts.
I'm interested to see what actually becomes of this and when we'll see it next. I don't know. Would it be like a PSX thing, or do you think they would just do something on their own at Kojima, or like just
they won't do anything on their own? No, Sony's publishing this, right? So
yeah.
Sony's going to leverage it as one of their pillars.
We did get a nice Jeff Keighley Kojima picture from E3, so I am satisfied.
That bromance that's continuing.
I love it so much. I live for it. So.
Jeff Keighley's probably pretty jealous of the bromance between Kojima and Mads Mikkelsen, though.
Oh, can we talk about how Kojima like tweets the most? Like, I want someone to tweet about me the way he tweets about. Well, I guess somebody I know. I shouldn't. Actually, I'm gonna.
And spiderwebs.
Gonna roll that back
a
little bit. But yeah, he's always like, "Oh, look at how beautiful Mads is," and I'm like, "You and your harem of boys, I love it."
I think it's Kojima's like a fan of these people, and so he gets to meet them, and he's freaking out the way some fans would if they met.
I adore it. It brings light to my life. I live for it.
We also, Kelly, you mentioned Bethesda. The conference, the strength was that they didn't go past holiday 2017, which I thought was smart. I mean, it would have been nice to see something. So I wrote down Elder Scrolls game 6,
so
Elder Scrolls 6, or a Fallout spinoff from maybe Obsidian that we thought might have been coming, like Project Louisiana and all those rumors about a New Orleans-based kind of New Vegas-ish spinoff. We didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, I liked Bethesda. I mean, I generally like Bethesda games, and I thought it's strong to target what's immediate. I'm very excited for Wolfenstein, but it would be nice to have like one thing that was just out of reach to get excited about, and that would have been for me Elder Scrolls. I mean, they really milk Skyrim, right? So it's like, obviously I'm very excited to play Skyrim on like 2 new platforms or whatever, because I'm a nerd about it.
It's in a different reality.
Yeah.
It's not just a platform.
It's a different dimension.
You get to play as Hobo Link.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it looks like they took a Skyrim character and face swapped it with Link. And that's speaking of face swap, I'm not kidding.
No, that was good.
It's creepy.
I would have loved to, because we know Elder Scrolls 6 is happening. I want to know more about it.
Yeah, I'm actually weirdly excited to try out Fallout 4 and Skyrim in VR. Then Doom VR looks very odd because it seems like the antithesis of Doom. You're like teleporting and then shooting, and then Doom is always just about forward movement.
Well, Doom, like playing Doom the first time around, like not in VR, I was like doing, it's a kill rooms. So you're like moving around in circles and kind of looking. I feel like I would get sick immediately playing in VR. Like it makes me so, like I think the teleportation thing is to fix that, but I don't know how that makes it like Doom.
Teleporting is generally where I always get the motion sickness. Anytime
Really?
It's when I'm like being warped to a different area, right? And then you just are readjusting where my location is. So it's like, I don't know, that can definitely throw me off. So that scares me as well.
I'm curious to try this out just to see those Doom weapons in VR and everything. They showed you kind of using the minigun and whatnot, but I actually just want to try this out because this seems a little more, I feel like I could play through this, whereas Fallout 4 and Skyrim I'm going to try out and probably won't get too far into, in the grand scheme of things.
Well, those are games I would spend, over 100 hours in, and I just can't do that in VR. I mean, that would take me 2 years to do. Whereas when I first got Skyrim, I think I put in 60 hours in a week or something like that.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how this turns out. But yeah, Bethesda actually kind of focused a lot on VR between Fallout 4, Skyrim, Doom. But like, again, you said it would have been nice to see them tease something, but again, that doesn't seem to be their thing anymore. They like Fallout 4, it was 3 months before it came out when they finally officially showed it off. at their conference last year.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
2 years ago, sorry.
They totally surprised us
Yeah.
with Evil Within 2 and Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say, like, yeah, they did a bad job.
Yeah, because Evil Within
Right.
2 is Friday the 13th, October 13th, and then October 27th, which we keep talking about this, but that day is stacked. It's Assassin's Creed Origins, Super Mario Odyssey, and Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. So
I'm already. I don't know what I'm gonna play first.
I figured it out, what I'm going to
Oh,
do.
yeah?
It wasn't much, it wasn't a hard decision. I want to do Wolfenstein 2, Super Mario, Assassin's Creed. Eventually get to Assassin's Creed. That's not a day one thing for me, although I am really excited for that game, which I haven't been for an Assassin's Creed since, I don't know, before Assassin's Creed 3 maybe. But yeah, I'm really excited for that day. But October in general is pretty stacked because Shadow of War comes out between Evil Within 2 and all those games. I'm sure I'm missing a couple titles, but
Yeah, there's
October
a lot.
is probably the month. And then like a week after those games is Call of Duty World War II, and then a little bit after that's Battlefront 2. I don't know, it's the holiday season. It's always going to be packed, but October 27th specifically seems pretty crazy. Other games that we missed. Are we surprised that we didn't see Cyberpunk from CD
No,
Projekt?
not surprised.
Not surprised
at
at all.
But did you miss it?
all. I do want to know more about that game. Like we see the same, with the sexy android girl or whatever. I want to.
No, that was Detroit. You're mixing them up.
I think Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the most anticipated games out there right now. It's a game everyone wants to know about. Like, no one has any concerns about, like, oh, well, maybe they're gonna botch it. Like, no, The Witcher 3 was amazing. CD Projekt Red they're on the ball. Hopefully this is going to be really good. Like, the moment they show this off, it's going to be a huge deal. Like, when we finally get to see gameplay, it's going to be a big, big deal. And like you were saying, Rob, it's getting tired now to wait years for something. So I think once we finally get to see this game in action, it'll probably be, probably years from now, but when the game is going to be coming out in a matter of months, not years.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the big question on my mind is what they're actually going to do with this property, because The Witcher was an established, canon. And then they took that and they made it into this, the evolution of the Witcher series is super interesting. The first Witcher was so different than the third one. They went just massive open world RPG with the third game, obviously. But I'm curious to see what they'll do with Cyberpunk. I would assume they would go in the same vein of the Witcher, but who knows what they actually will end up doing.
There better not be horses. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well,
Roach.
interesting. One of the most enticing things I heard was that they were hiring. This is like a year ago. I feel like they were trying to hire a developer that would specialize in ship. I don't know how it was to say it, but like a mount for like basically the replacement of Roach being your ship. Someone specialized in that, and I think that is freaking cool. That just kind of solidifies like the open world idea of like flying around in these cities.
Yeah.
This game. God, what does this game look like?
Yeah, not surprised that it was omitted from E3 on CD Projekt's part. They were still pushing Gwent.
Right, and they had that leak where they kind of where they said we're not going to bend to their ransom, basically, where someone was like, "Oh, pay us and we won't." What we got. And they're like, "Just so you know,
We don't
it's
negotiate."
yeah. Well, they were like, "Just so you know, it's really early on." I'm like, "Oh, we're not hearing about this game for a really long time." So
Yeah.
Also, people who are blackmailing people for that can just. No, I almost just got really mad for a second. But seriously, you're
messed
worse
up.
than the Mass Effect 3 people. Star Wars, the visceral Star Wars that we've been kind of waiting to hear. It's not surprising that we didn't see Amy Hennig's Star Wars, the one that she's been working on with Visceral. And I don't think it's surprising because I think they smartly, they focused on Battlefront 2. Although, it would have been, I think, a good time to drum up excitement for this more narrative-focused Star Wars, especially considering, Episode 8's not that far away anymore in the grand scheme of things. Coming out December. So Battlefront 2 is November, but obviously Visceral's been working on a narrative-ish Star Wars.
EA was just. It's the smart move to be from a business standpoint. All right, just if you're going to buy one Star Wars game, that's what we want to deliver. But this,
right,
yeah,
you don't want to cannibalize your own sales by splitting people's attention between two different Star Wars things.
Right.
And I don't think people would just buy both those games anyway.
I think a lot of people would,
Yeah.
like a lot of Star Wars fans, but I don't know. I feel like if you want to showcase one thing, and it seems like they're really proud of what they've done with Battlefront 2, then, just commit fully to that.
Yeah, it's just going all in on one property, right? If you're a Star Wars fan, this is a must buy, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're smart to have the First Order being a playable team in the game for, of course, the tie-in with the new movie.
Well, they're going back to the clone era, and they're coming forward to the First Order and Resistance and whatnot, which is exciting because I'm kind of, I'm looking forward to the fact that that's more of a shooter now than just a Star Wars game. DICE knows what they're doing with multiplayer shooters, so I'm excited to see what happens with that. So is there anything else I didn't mention that we wanted to see at E3 that we didn't?
Shenmue 3, baby.
Ugh.
Where that? What?
Wait, is that Resident Evil 2 Remake? I didn't write down, Jean-Luc. Sorry, if you could bring up B-roll for that if you want to.
Yeah,
I'll get
true.
past it. But Resident Evil 2 Remake, I'm actually really surprised Capcom didn't show it off. I thought it was a good time considering the success commercially and critically for Resident Evil 7. And they've talked a bunch. We know Resident Evil 2 Remake must be, close to being done at this point. It's been announced. Like, it's not like Final Fantasy 7. Like, we know it's coming sometime soonish. I'm surprised they didn't show more of that, and I'm really eager to see that because the team that's making this is not the team that did Zero and Remake. It's kind of an unproven team when it comes to the fixed camera classic Resident Evil, right?
It's the team that worked on Phoenix Wright games.
Yeah, which is a weird departure.
No.
Yeah, here's Resident Evil 2. This is not the remake. Obviously this looks more. This looks older. This is me and Mary Kish playing Resident Evil Knievel. You can go watch that on YouTube right now. Pete, are you a Knievel fan?
You can
Don't
light
answer
a
that.
fire here.
Yeah, you can.
Just reading the subtitles on
I
screen.
wonder how long it took Mary to figure
Am I
this
a
out.
Knievel fan? Is that what you asked me?
No, just joking. Cool. I would have liked to see Resident Evil 2 Remake at E3. I'm surprised Capcom didn't show it off. All right. Another thing I want to talk about, what we're bummed is missing, is from the SNES Classic. Terrible segue. Super Nintendo Classic announced officially, was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
2 days ago,
Monday.
my friend.
It's going to be how much, Pete? Hit me with
$79.99 on September the 29th.
Bam.
$9.29 for $79.99.
I'm more excited for this than I was for the NES Classic. I've actually played a lot of these games. So I'll rattle through them. Actually, no. I'm gonna start listing them off and scream as loud as you can for the ones you're really excited for. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
All right, Contra 3, The Alien Wars. Yep. Donkey Kong Country.
Woo.
Earthbound. I've never played. Yep. I'm excited to play this finally. Final Fantasy 3/6. Yep. I'm looking forward to finally playing that. F-Zero. Kirby Superstar. Kirby's Dream Course. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. What's that? Mega Man X.
Yeah.
Secret of Mana. Star Fox.
Okay.
The unreleased Star Fox 2.
Dude, Star Fox 2.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting. Super Castlevania 4.
Yes.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Yes.
Super Mario Kart. Super
Yes.
Mario RPG.
Yes.
Legend of the Seven Stars. Super
Yes.
Mario World. Super Metroid. Super Punch-Out.
Mario
And
World.
Yoshi's Island.
Woo.
A lot of good games coming to this, but there are a few we are kind of, a lament for these games, if you will.
You can't have them all.
Well, first of all, Pete, pick one on that list that you're really excited for.
Jean-Luc, cut to camera.
Whoa.
Damn it.
Shit.
Chrono Trigger.
You took mine. I think that's the one.
That
a
was
lot of
mine
people-
also.
I'm bummed that they went with Final Fantasy 3 and not Final Fantasy 6. Yes, Chrono Trigger's mine as well.
Yeah.
You stole the words from my mouth. I'm.
You can have them back.
No. I said which one are you excited for, not what are you missing.
Whoops.
Jump the gun.
Whoops.
All right, we'll get back to Chrono Trigger. What are you excited for that's on the list?
Jean-Luc, cut to camera.
Say it. Go.
Chrono Trigger.
Okay, Rob. From that list, what's the one you're excited for?
Can I pick two?
Sure.
I want to play Super Mario World again.
Yeah?
Oh my god, I
Yeah.
love that game.
Yoshi's
And
Island is better. Come at
No.
me. Come at me.
That's
false.
that is just wrong.
No, it's not.
I'm sad.
That's
that you said
the
that.
soundtrack to Yoshi's Island.
I also have a lot
never
of
played
Twitter
that game.
questions
He doesn't
about the
know.
SNES Classic, so let's get through this if we can.
Okay, sorry. Star Fox 2, man. What is that?
Yeah.
It's not a great game.
Oh, really? Have you?
There's been a version that's like
Oh,
90%
that's right.
complete, leaked online for years. It was stolen from a trade show, which is a great story actually. But
You never owned a Super Nintendo, right? Just kidding.
Whoa.
I was joking. Someone said something in the chat.
No
that
one
made me laugh.
laughed.
I laughed. It was funny.
Oh, it's getting wacky.
Yeah, Callie, what's your game you're excited for?
Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
And I want to replay A Link to the Past because that's
Hell yeah.
one of my top 3 Zeldas.
Rightly so.
Yeah. So
It's a very good game.
I'm very excited for that.
I'm looking forward to the fact that I finally have a solid excuse and maybe a more accessible way to finally play Final Fantasy VI and Earthbound, neither of which I've ever touched.
Oh, I should have said Earth. I'm very excited for Earthbound also.
Earthbound is good.
That's like Justin Haywald's favorite game, right?
Yeah.
His
Here at
wedding was
GameSpot.
themed after Earthbound.
Yes.
Yeah. So he probably likes it a little bit.
Maybe.
But now we can move on to Chrono Trigger and other games were kind of sad or not on that list. Talk about Chrono Trigger and why they wouldn't include it, Pete.
I don't know why they
Jean-Luc, cut to
wouldn't.
camera. Oh, yeah, ready to go. Monologue. talk about Chrono Trigger. Why do you like it? Why you said it's gone?
Chrono Trigger is the intersection of two of Japanese RPG development's biggest properties, Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. Nobuo Uematsu and Yuji Horii both contributed to this game with Akira Toriyama as well.
Keep going.
It is a fantastic example of storytelling. It has very innovative combat for the time. It was originally designed to be a Nintendo PlayStation CD game, was revamped for the cartridge format, which actually ended up benefiting combat. But really, this has an amazing story, incredible characters, a fantastic soundtrack, and is a perfect example of the capabilities and potential that the Super Nintendo represented. Shame on you, Nintendo, for not putting Chrono Trigger in the Super Nintendo Classic.
What's your theory on why they don't have it on the Super Nintendo Classic? Jean-Luc, one more time.
Amazing.
That was so good.
That was amazing.
Why don't they have it?
Money.
Oh,
Politics. Religion? I don't know. Pick one. Pick two. It's just not there.
I can't.
All right, cut to camera.
I can't really top that.
Hell yeah. That's our show for today.
Yeah. What about Pilot Wings?
Oh,
Dude, yeah, let's talk about Pilot
I moved
Wings.
on because there's not much more we can say about Chrono
I
Trigger.
mean, I just want to talk about Akira Toriyama for a second.
Yeah.
Yes, just appreciate. So good. I love him.
That's a person?
He's the guy who created Dragon Ball. And
yeah.
has forever been the principal collaborator with Yuji Horii on Dragon Quest.
Okay.
He likes dragons, apparently.
He loves things that have to do with dragons.
You told me Pilot Wings should be on there too.
Dude, Pilot Wings was one of the best launch titles for the Super Nintendo. It had a bunch of different activities. It was a really technical, impressive game as well, because it used this Mode 7 thing to create sort of this, you could call it pseudo 3D. It's basically 3D. It just added incredible depth to the world, and it had great personality as well. Like all these people that are giving you your licenses, they're charming and weird in their own ways, and after a while, you finally get your license, and you think, okay, I get what this game is about. No. Then there's a hostage situation. Then you have to rescue all
really?
these people. Yeah, like
Oh, shit.
the whole game just takes a huge left turn you never see coming. I mean, look at this, right? Like the fact that you're skydiving from thousands of feet up in the air and like all this stuff. Like that's super impressive for a 16-bit console.
Don't think
for a
that's-
launch title.
That looks more like you're ascending on a rope ladder.
You're
than
gonna
skydiving.
fall in a second.
What if that's how people skydove? You actually skydived. That is a weird way to do that. That's terrifying. I don't want to skydive like that. What about Actraiser?
That's how the song goes.
Is that the something?
Actraiser is an interesting game. Justin Haywald really likes it a lot. It's kind of an awkward mix of a god sim and a platformer, and neither one I don't think is really developed to its like fullest potential.
How do you combine those two? Because I don't know anything about this game.
It's been a long time. I forget. You meet this baby with wings, and you ask it to make things for you.
right.
So, a
then
normal
you end,
Tuesday?
yeah, and then you end up fighting monsters with a sword.
God Sim / platformer sounds like Peter Molyneux and Shigeru Miyamoto hooked up and had a baby.
Like a sick baby.
Any other Super Nintendo games you guys are sad aren't there?
So many, man.
So hit me with a few.
R-Type 3.
R-Type 3, is that correct? What's that about?
You are correct, sir. R-Type 3 is... So there was Super R-Type, which was a launch, like, side-scrolling spaceship shooter on the Super Nintendo. It was good, but R-Type 3 just was an incredible sort of, like, technical and artistic evolution of that series. And it's a great game, and I don't know why it's not on there. Yeah, look at this art. Seriously, for a Super Nintendo game.
Looks like Axiom Verge a little
Yeah.
bit. It looks like
Yeah.
Axiom
What kind of
Verge
body
trying to
parts are we
emulate
looking
this.
at, folks? I'll leave it up to your imagination.
How many body parts of that type are we looking at?
3.
That does look really good. But yeah, it looks like Axiom Verge tried to emulate this kind of...
Yeah, it's a dope game. I mean, there's the thing about the Super Nintendo is that there are so many good games. You could never please everyone.
I didn't really grow up. I kind of did grow up on. I grew up more on the N64,
Final
but Super Nintendo is probably my favorite console. I would say, as far as like the quality of its library.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
PlayStation, and like Nintendo DS. Those have some of the strongest libraries ever.
The good thing about, I mean, like, you have a lot of access to, like, you can play Chrono Trigger on other things. Like, you're not,
Ish. Yeah.
sort of. Yeah, I mean, like, you can get it on DS, It's like
Right.
because it's, such a strong library, it's been re-released. So I'm not too bummed about missing certain games. Especially, I didn't have a SNES. I had a Genesis when I was a kid, and then we got an N64. So I ended up playing a lot of these games after the fact. So I'm just happy to have an excuse to play them and like own
Yeah.
a pseudo SNES.
I mean, I feel like that's the idea, though, which is why people. I think specifically Chrono Trigger is one I hear everyone talk about. Like,
Yeah.
there's such a good representation of all these different genres on there, and you could almost tell the complete like the important RPG story of the Super Nintendo if you had Chrono Trigger on there as
Right.
well.
I think that's the most glaring omission.
Yes.
Like, I
It was
think-
my first big RPG. It's what got me into the genre.
Like I think that is probably like the only one that I'm actually upset isn't there.
Yeah, but it's a super impressive collection.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I do have a bunch of questions. Someone in the chat was just asking how many there are total. It's 21 games.
21 games.
And yeah, that will be. It's already sold out in the UK for pre-orders.
On Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they've opened up, there's been like a couple rounds on Amazon UK.
Do you think it'll be just a big clusterfuck of trying to buy one again like it was with NES Classic?
Nintendo said they're going to be making a lot more. They said in the past they were surprised by the demand for the NES Classic, and so they're making substantially more now for this. But they've also said it's only going to be made up until the end of the year based on their current plans. That could change, but
Interesting. And the UK one does look super different.
yep, the UK Super Nintendo is just like the Japanese Super Famicom, and by that I mean much better looking than our ugly Super Nintendo.
No, I want the Japanese box specifically. It's
Yeah.
so gorgeous. We have our whatever one.
Yeah, and the Japanese one has a couple of alternative games on there. Like it doesn't come with Final Fantasy VI, but it has like the Legend of Mystical Ninja, Konami side-scrolling kind of wacky co-op action game.
I'm also excited that the cords are double the length of the NES Classic.
Yeah, I think
Almost.
it's
They're
5 feet
5
instead of
feet,
3.
yeah.
So you don't have to sit as close to the TV.
That's so weird.
Yeah. Why? What is the reasoning behind that? Is there?
Well,
Any
it
good reason?
makes a lot of sense from a Japanese perspective because your living space is really small.
I'm sorry, are we Japanese, you guys?
Wow, I'm just saying the people who designed it live in Japan.
Yeah, no. But I think to Mike's point, like this is a global product.
Well,
now
yeah,
at
I
this
mean,
point,
like
so-
obviously they shouldn't just consider that, but like,
Yeah, but
since
it's the
when has
short-sightedness,
Nintendo, you know,
I love
consistently considered all of those
I'd
things?
love to imagine
in
the
big
meeting
picture?
where we're like, what if we make everything mini? And then someone's like, what about the chords? They're like, same there. Do it. Mini chords.
It's like that Will Ferrell SNL bit with the phone.
It's Chloe. No, it's Stella. She's on her way. There you have it.
I wanted to drop 2 games. One, Cool Spot.
You made that up.
No.
I did not. That
Yeah, he
game,
made
I
that
played
up.
a lot of that game. It's bizarre ass, like
It's weird.
7-Up Cool Spot. It's weird.
It's a logo wearing sunglasses running around the beach.
Oh my god.
Wait, you were not kidding.
Oh,
yeah.
dude,
Woo!
I played.
Wait, that's
my
a raisin.
family included. We played a lot of this game. It's just the
What is he?
music tracks. He's Cool Spot. He's the 7-Up logo.
He's a pepperoni wearing sunglasses.
He looks like the California Raisin character from that game that they released weirdly for marketing back in the day.
Oh, you do remember the Yo Noid video game?
No.
You don't even know what the Noids are, do you?
Nope.
God damn it.
You're
You-
annoyed.
The
He
Noid.
avoided the.
Yeah, you did avoid the Noid. You managed to.
God, this game. You want to know? This is a curveball. I don't know if John Luke can pull it up. I tried playing it. I got my sister actually. They had like those portable SNESs. Jesus. And because we have all our old games, so she was able to play it. And I don't know, she didn't even use it, so I took it from her. But
What's your second game?
Wayne's World. That was one that like randomly, like my sister was obsessed with. But I tried playing it the other day. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Does it have like digitized voices at
Yep.
the beginning when you press start? It's like,
Or no.
Oh,
this one,
My
yeah.
This one,
God.
it's so bad.
They really captured Michael Myers'
It's-
visage.
it's
Yeah.
like
Mike Myers, sorry.
When you die, it's we're not worthy.
It's
We're
like-
not worthy. Yeah.
it's like fucking the guy from Noah's Arcade made this game. You know,
Yes. It's cool. It's hip. Yeah. It's Noah's Arcade. Actually, last one is the Jurassic Park SNES game.
Super Return of the Jedi as well.
Oh,
Did you play those? I hate
No,
those
I didn't
games.
play that
They're
one.
hard as F.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors. If you put that on there, I'll pay $300 for this thing. Whoa. That's the best game ever made. I do have some questions on Twitter from a few people. First off, Samuel Davis was saying, are any of us fans of the Mega Man X games? I love Mega Man X.
Yeah.
The first one, at least. I've never played anything past that, but I love that game.
The first through the fourth are pretty solid. After that, they get kind of garish and repetitive. You should see the design, like how Mega Man X, like the amount of armor he can get added on to himself. Like once you start getting into X5 and 6, it just gets kind of just out there. But yeah, 1 through 4 are really good. 1 is just so tightly designed. It's great.
It's also one of my favorite soundtracks. The Boomer Quanger soundtrack.
I just like
unreal.
saying that.
Boomer Quanger. Yeah, it's really good. This game is I mean all the like Mega Man 2 and the first one are insanely hard games to me. But Mega Man X, it's not as hard as those games, but I still found it hard when I returned to it kind of recently. My brother still plays Super Nintendo games kind of religiously, and I was playing this and Zombies Ate My Neighbor, plural, and I suck at Mega Man games now.
They're tough. I mean, it's a different pace. It's a different style of like action. They don't really make games like this.
Yeah.
That we play on a regular basis anyway.
How do you mean by that? I mean, if it's hard to describe.
No, it's not hard to describe. It's like this is a pretty simple game, like on its face, right? And the challenges in front of you aren't that difficult to understand. It really just comes down to performing with these like really tight,
like perfection,
twitchy controls.
It can be a little bit twitchy, yeah. And enemies are good at sort of distracting you and throwing you off. But like, you should just be able to just like stop for a second, look at what you're doing, assess it, and tackle it. But I think we're so used to in games now being able to kind of charge ahead and make up for any mistakes we make. Yeah. It's rare that you see a game that like has pitfalls these days, right? Where you die from falling in a pit, like something like that. Like, it's just unusual. So you kind of have to like retrain your brain when you're going back to play a lot of these games.
Right. I do have another question I want to get to. It's kind of a two-parter. Errol Moss, who's in our Twitch chat a lot and was at our E3 show. Do you think there will be an N64 Classic? Oof. We'll get to that. And do you think these classic systems are maybe what's holding back Nintendo from bringing the Switch Virtual Console to life?
I don't think there will be a Nintendo 64 Classic. I'm probably wrong, but when I look at the library of games, there's not that many that really stand out as like, oh, wow. Like, I think maybe we could all count like 5 Nintendo 64 games that we really love. And then if you look at those games now as well, like it's kind of crude 3D. It doesn't have the charm of like sharp pixel art.
Yeah. GoldenEye is a game that is so hard to come back to.
It did not age well at all.
No. Yeah. So, and if you sort of put that up against these other games that look great and play really well, I just don't think that really aligns with what Nintendo's doing, because I think maybe people haven't played Nintendo 64 lately. But we see all these we see Mega Man X on like iPhones or what I mean, like stuff like that. So we're still thinking about this stuff, but we don't. When's the last time you really looked at GoldenEye and like played it? Like
it's that the idea of just nostalgia taking over and going back to GoldenEye. I literally like the last time we did it, I think it was like a couple years ago. We played it on what was the not Let's Play we had the show that Chris Waters did. Anyways, it was like 4 of us.
We played some N64 games on the Extra Life last year as well.
What's it called?
Couch.
I don't know. Anyways, we just had the hardest time playing that game. Like you're squinting, let alone like the TV is kind of far away. Like you can barely see people. It's just, and you're strafing around. Like it's not a great.
Could you imagine
one quick thing before it leaves the chat? Felipe Idar on Twitch was saying a lot of the good N64 games were made by Rare, and now Microsoft. How hard would that be to get those on something like that for Nintendo?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
But I don't know, because Minecraft is owned by Microsoft, and that's on every platform under the sun.
Right.
Maybe that's a special case.
Yeah.
But I was going to say there's literally one N64 game that I replay consistently. It's Banjo-Kazooie, and it's on Xbox.
There's a better game than that you could be replaying.
Oh.
I'm not going to get into this with you right
Banjo-Tooie. Kathy Plaggy, Mrs. Plaggy, if you're watching, Banjo-Tooie is better than Banjo-Kazooie. I'll debate you on this show.
Mike's going to fight my mom.
Well, with words.
Well, yeah.
Banjo-Tooie is better. On the 20th of every month, I tweet about it just to let everybody know. But yeah, I would be interested to see how N64 Banjo-Tooie is better than Banjo-Kazooie. Kathy Plaggy, come at me. Primetime, HBO. Get your friends to come watch it. Kathy Plaggy, I'm calling you out. Get on this show. Come up to San Francisco. I'll debate you. I've got a whole argument ready to go for you, Mrs. Plaggy. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and then I'd also just be interested.
I'm leaving.
I would love to play all these games on the Switch, the Super Nintendo games,
right?
Not N64, because I mean N64 being the first foray into 3D games like Ocarina, Super Mario 64, so important for that.
Look at all those games. We have better versions of those games that are 3D and look great.
We have Mario Galaxy. We have any number of more modern Zelda games. No,
other games.
That's it.
Yeah, but Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, things like that, right? Like Nintendo's been evolving these series over the years. We still have access to those.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Zeldas are on 3DS, so
Yeah.
16-bit animation or 16-bit like art style has aged so much
was
more
gonna say.
elegantly than
Yeah.
the early 3D. Castlevania 64, that game's bad for a lot of reasons, but I don't know. I could play Ocarina on 3DS. I
Yeah.
could play Majora's Mask on 3DS.
You're still buying a 3DS. I don't know. I honestly could do with Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost. That's what I'm getting at. Is I would. I mean, depending on how much it is, I could see myself buying that. Dude, those games still hold up so well. Mario 64 is so fun. Ocarina, I've beaten like 5 times. I've gone back to that. That's the one reason I pull out a 64 is for those two.
Conker's Bad Fur Day, Goop Shoe Riot mentioned. Did you guys play that?
Not in love with it.
I never played it. Doesn't he wake up hungover?
Sorry, Goob.
Isn't it super mature despite the fact that he's a
Mature as-
squirrel? Fox?
Immature. Is the
Raccoon?
word you're
What is
looking
he?
For.
What is Conker? A squirrel?
He's a squirrel.
Yeah. I got it right the first time, and I went through a few more animals. But yeah,
Tetrasphere. That's one.
Oh goodness.
dude, I would play Wave Race.
Yeah, Wave Race is
Yeah,
good.
Wave
Yeah.
Race.
a lot.
I'll play Road Rash.
It's all about mischief makers, right?
Yeah.
But
You guys know mischief makers?
Micro Machines, N64. Oh my god, best party game ever.
Pokemon Stadium. Shit.
You brought up a good point
Pokemon Stadium 2.
Shit.
of like going back to some of
Pokemon
these
Snap.
games.
Shit.
Like we went back to Rogue Squadron. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is different.
It's not aged well.
Yes, it's interesting how some of them do and some of them don't.
Errol Moss, thank you so much for your question. As always, we appreciate you taking part in the show. Any last thoughts on Super Nintendo games, Nintendo in general? Pete's got one more thought.
No, I don't.
Okay. Cool. I also want to talk about, we know what's coming out the holiday season now after E3. October's a pretty busy month. November's got a couple releases. September got Destiny 2. What else we have in September? We got a few things, but I want to talk about the games remaining this summer before the holiday season hits and what you should look forward to and what we're looking forward to. I'm just going to rattle through them. Splatoon 2 on the Switch, July 21st.
Yeah.
I guess you could start with Crash Insane Trilogy.
You could.
We're not talking about it yet in terms of review. That'll be out soonish, but you've been playing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Yep. When will that review be up? Can you talk about it?
Tomorrow.
Someone was asking in the chat. Crash Insane Trilogy from Naughty Dog. It wasn't Naughty Dog that actually remastered it, was it?
Vicarious Visions.
What else have they done?
I forget.
Okay. I'm going to play the game vicariously through you because I don't want to
Yeah.
play it.
There you go.
But anyway, Splatoon, July 21st.
Yeah.
Splatoon 2, sorry. I never played Splatoon, the first one.
I liked it.
I'm looking forward to playing a Splatoon game because I play the Switch far more often than I ever played the Wii U. What is that doing different? It seems like it's just, like a lot of sequels just iterating on the first game, but, I asked someone, what's different about it? They're like, oh, you could dual wield now. It's like Halo 2, Halo.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like we've been doing that in other games for a while. There was like a new co-op mode, Salmon Run. We have gameplay of it from E3.
Oh, right.
Oh, good timing.
Oh, nicely done, Jean-Luc.
Sounds gross.
It does. They really hit like the fish imagery really hard in these games.
Right, because there are a lot of them are, they're humans, but aren't there octopi
There's
involved?
So it's basically Splatoon is like post-apocalyptic and humans have evolved to be squids, sort of.
Naturally.
That's the simplest explanation I can come up with.
Hyper fashionable squids.
Yeah. They are very fashionable. I love getting new clothes in this game.
The music is great in this game too, right?
Yeah, I like the music. If you want a preview of that, there's a Splatoon mode in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so you can check out the map and it has the Splatoon music. Yeah, I like it. It's such a unique take on a shooter. I think I've said this on this show before, but I really need there to be a little more communication because there is strategy involved. I mean, there's like classes. You can be a heavy, you can be a sniper. Like it goes pretty deep.
And that was not in the first game?
No. That was in the first game.
Okay.
But what I would want to see from this one different would be that.
Sure.
Well, you can plug your headset into your phone
what
and
is up
use the
with
Nintendo
that?
Online service to voice chat with your teams because that's normal.
Yeah.
You can use Mixer.
Oh, the other big difference is the Inkling girl has short hair now.
Nice.
So that's
I'm in.
what I know. You're right. Sold.
Peter, did you review this?
Yes, I did, Robert.
He already reviewed Splatoon 2.
What was there a lack of a single player or something like that?
No, there was
No,
a good
there's-
single player mode.
I can't remember if there was something that you like. I remember you mentioning something about like it's hard to come back to it or something? I don't know. Is there any like qualms?
Yeah, I mean the single player, it does a good job of sort of escalating like the challenges. So it's a really good way to just kind of get to know the controls and different weapons. But once you've gone through it, that's kind of it. Like there are sort of alternative, objectives, like, finding hidden stuff, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I mean, the single player was really just a very good long-winded tutorial in my mind.
Can we talk about how that dialogue pop-up said raspy voice, something about Papa and eggs?
Yeah.
That's a little creepy.
Typical conversation.
Mondays.
This kid is
It's a weird life.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Splatoon 2 for the Nintendo Switch, July 21st. What about Pyre, the third game from Supergiant Games, who also made Bastion and Transistor? Greg Kasavin of former GameSpot fame has been working at Supergiant for a while now. This game's really fun. I played it last year at some point, and it's a weird take on football, but also there are these RPG overworld fantasy elements that play into it. You're upgrading different characters as you go. In terms of like, it's a weird genre blend, kind of this, like fantasy RPG, like I just said, and sports game, but the actual sport they've created is really fun. You dash, and then you get like you have to bring this ball to this portal at the end, and the other person's like end zone, so to speak. But there's a lot more nuance to it, and I really can't wait to play this game. It seems like it'll be a good palate cleanser after everything else I've been playing. This is so, it seems so original. And also just the writing is very, Supergiant-ish if you play Transistor or Bastion. And I'm looking forward to that a lot, actually. I know Michael Hyam is pretty excited for that, too, after he just played it recently, I think. Did you guys play Transistor and everything?
Miss Transistor.
I think my favorite part of that game was the music. I loved the music in that game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Pyre. That is July 25th, a few days after Splatoon 2. From Fulbright Company, Tacoma. The second game, the second game, sophomore effort from Fulbright Company, who made Gone Home. Tacoma will be out August 2nd. They showed that off at the Microsoft press conference. That'll be launching first on Xbox One. It's a console launch exclusive, whatever they say, Xbox One and PC, and then it'll be on PlayStation and I would assume like Steam and whatnot. But yeah, space station, very narrative driven, kind of like Gone Home, except instead of finding notes and whatnot, you're finding these holograms of people. It's actually, we have a little more coming out about the Fulbright Company in a couple weeks, but I got the chance to actually play through a little more of it recently, and it's really cool how you can actually fast forward and rewind these augmented reality hologram scenes. It's not just this static thing you can actually control. So it'll be like
a Minority Report kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
yeah, like
exactly. You'll be in this kitchen, and everybody will be convening for this this holiday that they created to stay sane in space. And then, but if you rewind it, you can go back to the rooms they were in before that, and kind of hear them talking shit about other people or. Yeah. Talking like doing this transmission to Earth or whatever it is, and then you go in and then you kind of have different context for this group scene afterward. It's really cool. And then also just in terms of like unlocking doors and whatnot, you can go through, you rewind this scene and then you hear her or input her code so you can get into her office later on after that scene unplays. It's really cool. I'm looking forward to this a lot. And it seems like they're doing a lot to change that, the derogatory term now being walking simulator. It seems like they're doing a lot to change up what Gone Home did. And I'm excited to see how that unfolds here. I think this is Timur, honestly, from our UK office. He spent a lot of time throwing stuff in that toilet. I could be wrong.
In the loo is what
he also spent a lot of time turning into toilet paper and Prey, so it's kind of right. It's like on brand for him.
Yeah, I was going to say somebody made a joke that it was like a Prey without a gun.
As a disclaimer, this footage looks much.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
This
with
frame
footage.
rate is not great for this footage. Don't take this footage into account. This game looks really good from what I've played.
Yeah, it does. I just really like the. They did this with Gone Home too, like going through an environment and picking up stories that you want to find. I'm just really, really excited to get that in a different context.
Yeah,
and I don't know. There's something really special about being able to explore freely and get, wonder what happened to these people. And I do like you rewinding an event and hearing people talking shit or like hearing about like a couple comforting each other or whatever it is.
Sure. Yes. Like listening to, your typical like audio log trope of just like having someone, spit out a monologue can get kind of boring after a while. But what was the one mission in, not mission, but like the one video recording in Prey? If it just seemed like a generic two scientists like having like some dialogue. But if you
if you
walked
walked
around, you could see that he actually went and like revealed a safe or something like that.
I got the
It was like
I thought the game was
Hourglass or something. Looking Glass.
Yes.
Looking
Well, the
Glass.
Looking Glass is the actual system they used to like this video system they use. But I thought it was broken at first because if you use this console, taking this. I don't want to spoil it. I thought something was broken, but later on I found out that it was like actually a way to get into a secret part of the office.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah, there are elements of Prey here. Both games, kind of inspired by that Looking Glass legacy of System Shock. Is like Steve Gaynor used to be a big fan of those games. He has 0451 tattooed on his arm.
Really?
Which is kind of the number that keeps showing up in a lot of those games that came from Origin Systems, Looking Glass inspiration. Lawbreakers, August 8th. Jean-Luc was just playing this. There's 8 character classes now as opposed to the 3 or 4 there were when I last played it. I'm actually going to play this game. It's really fun. It's much more, people are comparing it to Overwatch, but outside of the character classes and the multiplayer shooter aspects, it's super different. It's much faster paced. It's more of like I don't know, this is kind of reductive. If you combine Overwatch and maybe like Quake or Unreal Tournament, that's what you would kind of get. Obviously, Cliff Bleszinski worked on one of the Unreals. It's escaped me right now. But this game is fun. It's fast-paced. I'm probably going to play it on PC, although Jake Decker played it on PS4 and said it's still really fun. It's just obviously a little slower paced, as is the case with most PC shooters that make their way to consoles. I'm looking forward to this more than I thought I'd be. The closer I get to it, it just seems... while I'm waiting for Quake Champions from Bethesda, which, like who knows when that's going to come out yet. Does that have a release date, Quake Champions? I don't think they announced it at E3 yet, did they? It just kind of left beta recently. Lawbreakers, though, I don't know. Rob, are you interested in it? Or no, Cal, are you interested in this at all? Sorry, I'm tripping up.
Screw you, Rob. No. I wasn't for a really long time, and then I saw this more recent gameplay, and I'm really excited. This is absolutely 100% my shit. Like I love like a fast paced, a lot of vertical movement shooter. So I'm really looking forward to actually checking this out.
Rob, what about you? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I played it like a year ago. Yeah, you mentioned there's definitely like 4 classes, but just looking at this footage now, yeah, I'm definitely more intrigued. I think it looks like they've like implemented a lot more like mobility, like sliding and stuff around and stuff like that. Like, I love Titanfall for that very reason. Like, I like that fast-paced like parkour aspect and those 0G areas. That seems like a cool change of pace.
Yeah, which is I remember before. This is a weird comparison, but I remember when they first started showing off Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, we were hoping they would use the 0G on the multiplayer maps, and then it turned out to be, in my opinion, pretty boring multiplayer. But this is kind of what I wanted was this 0G, because a lot of the character classes. One that Jean-Luc was using earlier, I forget. It's the one with the chain gun. Apologies for not knowing these names, but they actually just have a jet, like a Diva's movement kind of in Overwatch. You just actually jet through the environment, and that leads to some interesting. Then there's a grappling hook. A lot of these movement tropes that have become kind of standard in multiplayer shooters lately, but it seems like Lawbreakers mechanically is pulling them off really well, especially considering some parts of these maps are 0G. And I'm really excited because I've never even seen this class before. This class is new to me. But back when I played it, I forget when it was. Like 6 months ago, it was just like 3 or 4 character classes, and I thought that was going to be it, but now, there are 8, and I'm looking forward to this.
When does this come out again?
August 8th.
August 8th.
Not crazy far away, but again, before, summer hits. The same day, a game that I am kind of curious about, Hellblade. Pete, I think you and I talked about this a few times. It kind of has like Heavenly Sword-ish vibes, maybe. Or no? Is that not a good comparison?
Well, it has a female that maybe resembles the female in that game a little bit.
That's not what I was saying.
What were you going for?
I don't know. Like I thought it reminded me of the combat of Heavenly Sword with Naruto.
Have we seen a lot of combat for Hellblade?
Yeah, I read like a Game Informer did a cover story. From what I read, it sounded like it. Don't take my word for it. Anyway,
no, I thought it was mostly a narrative-driven game about the trials of mental illness.
Yeah, that's the metaphor below all this like gothic fantasy stuff. It seems like, but I don't know. Are you excited for this game at all? Same day, August 8th?
I'm very curious about it. Yeah, and I'm curious because they said it's going to be a short game, and they're only charging I think $30 or $40 for it.
Fuck, I'm thinking of something completely different. Sorry.
I think so, maybe. So yes, I am very interested.
Yeah. Do you guys know much about it? Clearly more than I do.
I hadn't even heard about it.
No.
Cool. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, August 22nd, standalone DLC. Or sorry, not even DLC, just standalone game from Naughty Dog. It's featuring Chloe Fraser and Nadine Ross. Nadine Ross, who's introduced in Uncharted 4, Chloe from Uncharted 2. But this goes back into their backstories a little bit and their relationship before we see them, apparently in Uncharted 2 and 4. and I'm excited for this. They showed a little more off of how Nadine is gonna, or how because you're playing Chloe, but how Nadine is actually gonna factor into the combat and there's movement. It looks really cool when you go to attack someone and she comes up as the AI. Like Uncharted 4 did this really well, but this seems to be the focus more on these two characters. But when you're actually attacking someone, she'll come up and finish them off for you, and vice versa.
Nadine was a great character from 4, right?
Yeah, she's pretty badass. She kicked the shit out of Nathan Drake at one part.
But her like in the end, just like I'm out.
her plot thread kind of didn't tie off as well as I'd like it to, so I'm interesting to see what will happen in this. Obviously, this is before everything, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this. It looks gorgeous, but I really like most things Naughty Dog does, so I'm excited for this. Kind of reminds me of, it's like those the Old Blood and then Dishonored's doing Death of the Outsider, that standalone experiences that I'm, it's not just DLC, it's actually, you don't have to play Uncharted 4, I don't believe, to play this, which is weird, but this is also like a prequel, so I think it'll do well in terms of like maybe introducing people to the series or actually bringing people into Uncharted 4. Who knows? That's August 22nd. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Yeah. August 29th. Same day as XCOM 2 War of the Chosen DLC. Expansion, major expansion. But obviously those, it's funny they're coming out the same day, because I remember Jake Solomon, the XCOM creator, was saying he was watching Ubisoft's conference and saw this. He's like, what is happening? Much more in-depth than it originally looked. I think the Nintendo Ubisoft Rabbids cartoonish graphics kind of belie how much depth there actually is. The movement of this seems super interesting. It's so weird that like these Rabbids and everybody have these weird guns and grenades and whatnot. But yeah, it's as someone who is enjoying playing, like actually having a lot of reasons to play on a Nintendo console, and who loves XCOM, I can't wait for this. I'm
so intrigued by this game. It's so bizarre. I feel like, if anything, the only thing I'm gonna if I stop playing this game, it'll be because the Rabbids irritate me. Mm-hmm. But I love that they're doing something like totally out there, and I like that. Like, this is the kind of game that I would have been more likely to pick up as like a younger, a kid or a young teen over something like XCOM, just because it's less it's more accessible looking, right? And so I like that, it's a different genre with a more accessible feel.
Yeah.
But it actually looks like it could be, decently challenging too.
I'm worried about what's going to happen to my state of mind on this day, because XCOM 2's expansion comes out, which I'll play before I play this, honestly. But it's no secret I love XCOM 2, and the expansion looks like it's changing up a lot of things. They took off some inspiration. We interviewed Jake Solomon on our lobby stage, actually, at E3. If you haven't caught it, it was a fun interview. They're taking these three kind of Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor. He said they took inspiration from that in terms of how these bosses are going to start reacting to you and playing differently, and kind of you're having these personal beefs with them, as opposed to these static characters in the series past, static enemies in the series past. But also there's 3 new character classes. They look unreal. I'm really excited for this. Jake Solomon was saying in terms of how big this is it's bigger than the Enemy Within, which is the major expansion for Enemy Unknown. What were you saying, Rob?
Actually, nothing important. I was going to say that last dude looked like an orc.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I would say so.
Sweet.
But I can't wait for this. This is August 29th. If you haven't played XCOM 2, go play it now. That's the Reaper class. They look unreal. Like glass cannon stealth character. I can't wait. Anyway, but cool. Any other games? No, I don't think so. I think I got them all this summer. Mm-hmm. So our review for Crash Bandicoot, Crash Insane Trilogy will be up
tomorrow.
At what time?
Embargo is 7 a.m., I think.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing the rest of this week? Callie, what are you playing? Anything?
I've been playing. I still haven't beaten Zelda, so I want to beat it before the DLC drops. So I've been farming to upgrade my armor because I'm a loser. So that's what I'm doing.
With Amiibo, like Nick, Margarita, and
no. I've been like farming
right now.
I've been farming dragon parts.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah? Where'd you get that guide? This guy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Are you playing Zelda on Friday, Rob?
Oh my God, I am. I've been upgrading my armor as well, and yeah, these damn amiibos in this office driving me insane.
Yeah, Nick got like a bunch of the really rare items on his first and second tries of certain amiibo. You can reload saves and.
To be fair, he tried for like several weeks to get that one shield from Toon Zelda, so I feel like he earned this luck.
Okay.
a little bit.
Do you guys have a Dino DNA stream this week?
Oh, that old show we used to do?
You don't do Dino DNA anymore?
I don't know what happened to that show. We might.
Are you streaming Thursday?
We might have something else in the works. I don't know.
Okay.
We're going to stream Friday. We're going to play Zelda.
Cool.
Yeah.
Play for a few hours.
Nice.
Maybe all day.
Are you gonna do the like hard mode?
Yeah, we're gonna try to.
We'll do it all.
We're gonna like see if we can do the Trials of the Sword.
It'll take a while to get there in hard mode, right?
Dude.
To get to the forest grotto or whatever it's called in Breath of the Wild.
I don't think we're going to try to get to the trials in hard mode. I think we might
Yeah,
take
that
a
makes more
current
sense.
save and dip into hard just to see what it's like.
Cool.
But,
Yeah.
Word.
That should be fun.
Look forward to seeing that.
I've also been playing Titanfall.
Yeah, new DLC yesterday.
Love that game.
pretty good.
I really like this new map. It's like, it's so rewarding to fly around that.
War games.
War games, yes,
Yeah.
from the first game.
Simulation.
I actually never played. It was part of the expansion for Titanfall, and I never actually played a lot of those maps. So it's cool to hear the praise about these maps. Yeah, War games apparently is one of the better ones as far as parkouring goes. Oh yeah, here's hot gameplay and this new execution.
Don't encourage him, Jean-Luc. Thank you for riling him up right at the end of the show. Yeah, no, it's a cool execution. For those who don't get it.
Get it. If you have Titanfall, it's time to come back. We've been waiting. It's free. It's time.
Titanfall 2
come
disclaimer
back,
is not free.
come back, my
the
children.
DLC is free. Don't listen to Rob.
I'm the only one who didn't get one.
Look at this.
All right. Okay, I'm calling it. Yeah, Titanfall 2 DLC is out now.
one.
Necromancer is out for Diablo 3. Eric Tay did a stream yesterday. It's archived on YouTube, Twitch if you want to go, or on YouTube if you want to go check that out. But anyway, yeah, that's our show. Next week, got a pretty light week in terms of releases again. Insane Trilogy. If you're not interested in that, then I don't know. What
It's
we'll talk
Crash
about.
1 through 3 with new graphics. That's all you need to know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeremy Zoll, Errol Moss, and Samuel Davis for your questions through Twitter. Jean-Luc, Eric Tay, thank you in the back for producing the show. Richard Lee is out for the rest of the week, but we will be back next week here in the U.S. We have Monday, Tuesday off for 4th of July, Independence Day weekend, but we'll be back Wednesday. And thanks for stopping by. We'll see you then.